Hi, everybody. I'm Bill Sanders, and this is Watch Art Sci, the art and science of watch collection. Today, I'm going to talk about how I got one of the watches that I wanted to get for 2019. In fact, it's very much of a Grail watch. It's exceptional horology. It's everything that I want in a watch. Before I get started on that, though, I always forget to have my wristwatch check, and this is my Harry Winston Premier by Retrograde. It's got a movement by Gerard Perregaux, and the by Retrograde is by Eigenhor. All right, enough of that. So this is really a story, I think, as much about good relationships that all of us make online with people who have similar interests that we have, or just sort of an interest in watches, and we talk about what we like and so forth, and how this can really be very helpful to us. Well, the story starts off, and I'm going to be using pseudonyms here and general places, not totally. It's sort of a true story with pseudonyms. I'll put it that way. Anyway, so this starts off, I got a PM from Joe. That's the first pseudonym. And Joe said, hey, he said, my bank has a deal with Langenheim, and they're giving an offer of half off for their watches. Well, those watches were fairly expensive. The entry level one, the one I was interested in, was running about $22,000, and so I didn't have that. So, but at half, I tell you, there are a lot of things I'll stretch to save that kind of money. You save $11,000. Heck yeah, I was interested. So I said, well, I'll tell you what, I'll put you in touch with their AD. And do you have WhatsApp? And so yeah, I got WhatsApp, and I'll be glad to use that with their AD. So so Joe gave me the WhatsApp address, and I sent him mine, and so I was in touch with the AD. Well, the AD, the little logo picture they had a picture. This is was something like this. This isn't the one that she had. I'm going to call her Penny. This was the AD's representative. I thought, what? This is a Viennese kind of masquerade kind of mask, very elaborate, and so I thought, well, this is sort of weird. So I PM Joe, and I said, Joe, this is looks a little strange to me. And he said, don't worry about it. He says, this is, in this part of the world, he said women are supposed to cover their faces. And Penny decided that, well, I'm going to have a little fun with it, which I thought was sort of cool, really. One thing, so I started communicating with her, and she never got the name of the watch right. She kept referring to it as a Dresden 10, and that wasn't the watch. The name of the watch was a Frederick II. Now, about the watch, I asked her, I said, well, hey, I hear you have this deal with the bank, and I want to know if I could, get a watch through that. And she said, I'll check with my boss. She really knocked herself out to help on this, so I want to let her know if she ever sees this, that she's ace in my book. So she checked with her boss, and her boss said no. She said, we can't do that for people who aren't employees of the bank. We'd get in a lot of trouble. She says, we do have one watch, though, that was somehow they got on this thing, and they would be willing to sell that to me. So I thought, heck yeah, sure. I said, which one is it? And they said it was the Frederick II. And well, actually, I think she told me it was a Dresden 10, but I learned it was she sent me a picture of it, and I realized it was a Frederick II. Now, the reason I wanted a Frederick III was that it's the one with caliber 6, which has the trigonal bridge, and you can see all of the movement. And but I didn't realize that the caliber 6 first came out with the Frederick II. So also Frederick II had the Arabic numbers, which I prefer over Roman numerals. Now, Roman numerals, granted, are a little more formal, but I wasn't looking for a formal watch. I just wanted a really good watch with the trigonal bridge in the back. And since I would have taken either one, whatever they had available, but they happened to have the Frederick II available. So I said, sure, let's do this. And I said, I want to know if I could use my credit card. And she said, well, yeah, we do that all the time. Then she got back, no, we can't do it. You have to be in person for that. So, okay. So, anyway, and, now, and then she kept referring to me as Mr. Bill. And, like, okay, all right. It was talking about the watches, Dresden 10 and me, Mr. Bill. Now, you have to understand what's going through my head during this time. This is a part of the world where the most I knew about it, there were like pirates. And I found that the pirate activity had been down. If anybody who watches YouTube can watch the poor pirates get blown out of the water. So anyway, but like I said, I had talked to another friend, Mike, and he said that as I was telling him the story, he said there are all these alarms like, danger, don't do this. So anyway, so I thought, well, what I'll do, I thought I have another friend over there named Dave, and Dave again is not a real name, but I'll have it sent to Dave, and then Dave can send it to me. I didn't think Penny would be able to. The straps are 3 lugs on Langenheim watches, and getting them off, I thought this would not be something I'd want her to do. And so I'll have her send it to my friend Dave, and then have Dave take them off and send it to me, and that'll work out. So anyway, got the watch and sent it to Dave. And he got a hold of it and was, looked at it and says everything seemed to be fine with it. Shipped it from the Middle East to Connecticut. Now, in doing so, they used FedEx, Federal Express. Let me recommend that. I've had several things shipped from overseas by Federal Express, and I swear every one of them had some kind of issue, either with CITES, CITES, which is for having band, watch band, like if you have some kind of, crocodile or rare alligator that's just about extinct, they don't want that. And neither do I. I mean, the kinds of bands that were advertised are CITES legal bands, like gators from a gator farm. And the problem with CITES is they're still using a really old technology. They have all of this paperwork, and somehow if you fill out that paperwork, well, someone could phony that up a lot easier than they could if the only watch bands made out of gator or look like gator had a chip in them. And you can, the kind you have in greeting cards, they have a little computer chip. That wouldn't be hard to do, and stick them in there, and they could just scan the thing and be done with it. But now they got to go through all of this rigmarole. And if they don't have the CITES paper, which the paperwork, or what's called CITES documentation, which can be a hassle, especially for non-professionals. My friend Mike told me all about it, and if you don't have the paperwork, the easiest thing to do is simply ship them separately, and then if they are stopped, then you'll lose a band. You can always get another band, so that's not hard. But you don't want them to hold up your watch. That happened to me once, and had to send it back. Went back to Germany, and it was big hassle. So anyway, so I had the watch sent, and then the band sent separately. Well, it arrived, and I got it, and naturally I was very excited about it. Since Dave told me everything was copacetic with it, I didn't worry about that, and I also knew that when he sent it, I'd get it. Well, it arrived, and it was just gorgeous. First, the watch arrived, and then the bands arrived. They weren't together because, like I said, I had them shipped separately. But got my watch, and this is the dial on the Frederick III. It's a very described as Art Deco style, and very clear to read, and one of those that not offensive at all. It's nothing. It's the kind of thing. In a way, it's bland. In a way, it's not bland. The style, the organization of it, I really like. Those little diamond shapes on the indexes above the numbers are this deep, deep sort of blood red, and then the hands are blued over an enamel dial. It really is a very beautiful watch, and then it has a big onion crown on it, and it also has a nice big second sub dial, and so you can really see the seconds. You don't have to need a magnifying glass if you want to use the second hand, which I almost never use, but I like the fact that if I want to use it, and it's a nice decoration. I also like the way that the 5 and the 7 and the 6 are all cut off. The 6 is totally buried under the big subdial for the seconds, and the 5 and the 7 are cut off. Like, I know a lot of people, it just drives nuts. I love it. It's a bit of adds panache to the style of it. Now, the part of the watch that I just had really wanted, by the way, too, it has 3 lugs, and so you need to do some special stuff to the straps and everything, and I'll talk about that a little more. But there it is, great big old trigonal, not big, the very clear trigonal bridge, and all of the wheels on the wheel, the gear train are all made of gold, and the base plate and bridges are interesting combination of the base is brass, and I think the bottom base is gold, but I'm not positive about that. But I'll just go with brass, and then all of the engraving is done, and then they do something to the wire brush and silver that they put on it, and then they coat the whole thing with gold, and it has this frosted look, and it's just amazing. On the lower right, the hand engraving says F210, which is this is the 10th watch that they made. They only make 100 or so a year. They don't make a whole lot, but the ones they make are really masterpieces. And this is sort of the entry level. There was one article I read about the blued screws, and the blued screws cost about $100 a piece, or €100 a piece, which really surprised me. And then the other thing that this has that I like are the gold chatons, and the gold chatons are sort of there's a traditional thing. In fact, there's what are called screwed gold chatons on either side of the little jewel there. That you can see the rubies. You'll see these 2 little blued screws, and then they hold in the gold chaton. These were from the old days when I guess they were cushions for real rubies. Now we have man-made rubies, and they don't need them. There's another thing they have is the swan's neck regulator, and there's the actual regulator itself there's a little screw on the side, and it's turned to make it go faster or slower. Very fine regulation on that. Runs at 1600 beats per hour, which is 2.5 hertz, and it's got a nice big balance wheel. You can see that where you have the increased inertia on it, and in this particular picture that I took, you can't see it very clearly, but that big wheel over the barrel is I forget what they call it, but it has a snail decoration on it. Then, of course, up at the top, there's more engraving with the name, and then there's engraving on the balance cock. And then to top the whole thing off, on top of the the balance staff is a diamond. Like it's and there you have the two screws screwed in Chateau, holding it in there. Well, this watch is just, I mean, this is what I wanted in a watch. It doesn't have very many functions. It's minutes, hours, and seconds, and that's it. And but you can see it moving. You can see all of the gears. What I did is that I put on another strap. This is a what I call the beater straps, and the reason this particular beater strap is on there, I wanted to have another really good strap. So I sent it off to this guy out in Tennessee who makes straps. His name Daniel Creek. He's from Franklin, Tennessee, and so I'm gonna have him make there's a sort of a blood red gator strap he's making for me right now, and I sent him the bands that came with it because I wanted to be sure. I mean, with 3 lugs, that's unusual, so I want him to make it for 3 lugs, and he could take the bands that I sent and make them like this, and when I get those, I'll put those on. And it also has a deployant clasp, but this is the one that came with the band. The one that they sent with it is much nicer. Of course, it's got the Langenheim logo with it, so it was nice exercise. Now, I'd like to say, with the moral of the story, don't do something like this. How important it is to have good relationships in watch collection. I mean, I've said some things every now and then that I wish I hadn't have said. You know, you make some little crack or something to somebody's watch and hurt their feelings, and that's so stupid. Some people go out of their way to do it, and that's even stupider. And so we try to having good communications and stuff and helping each other out. I've done the same thing. I've seen a good deal on a watch, and I'll send it to somebody and say, hey, this is something, they're having a sale on this or something. I heard you want this and that. And they've gotten good deals, and they've gotten a watch. So, I mean, it's not something, I think a lot of us have done that, but it really is very helpful. And the most helpful part is to have good relations. Make nice, as they say. Well, anyway, I don't want to go on about that too much, but I think that's as much about the sort of the fun in watch collection as anything else. Okay, well, as always, this is an invitation to subscribe if you'd like. And until Sunday, by the way, it's already February 1st, 2019. I guess later on someone might see that and what I say. So happy February for those who are watching this on February 1st. Bill Sanders for Watch Art Sci, the Art and Science of Watch Collection.